this is Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches, and I'm here to talk briefly about the Rolex change. That's right, Rolex is no longer going to warranty your watch if you did not purchase it from the authorized dealer. In other words, if you're not the original purchaser, as Matt Stevens says, Rolex is saying, fuck you. Well, who cares? BFD, that's what I've got to say. Is that ketchup? No, I think I'm okay. BFD. You know what? I've owned Rolex. Well, I bought my first Rolex in 1987, and I'll drop a picture of it here. In fact, I should be able, it's a date just, okay? Two-tone date just. And I'll drop a picture of it in here in a minute. And I will show it to you trashed and then restored by Kenny Nguyen. Jewelers on time, fuckers! Jewelers on time. Here's my poor little two-tone date just that I purchased new from the authorized dealer in 1987. And I wore it for 10 solid years. I swam in it and I dug in cow shit in it, and I literally dug in trees, and I did everything back in the day in that watch, and you can see it's pretty trashed here. Then I had it serviced by someone really crappy who was not authorized and not skilled, who screwed it up further. It sat in a drawer for 15 years until Kenny Nguyen and Jewelers on Time. I really couldn't believe it when this is what I received back from Kenny. It is absolutely beautiful. I have to tell you, this watch looks completely new. It is totally restored. It runs like a charm, and he even buffed up the bezel. That fluted bezel was trashed, so I can't believe it looks as factory new as it does. Really, the only thing is the bracelet has got some stretch in it from all those years of use. It's a 36 millimeter. I confess I don't wear it very often, but it's way too sentimental for me to ever sell, so it has become a safe queen. Anyway, look, here's what I want to tell you. That date just, I wore that fucker for about 10 solid years, and I never took it off. I mean, I took it off to sleep, but what did I do in it? I swam in it, I worked in it, I gardened in it, I dug my hands into, like big piles of cow manure in it. I abused the living shit out of that watch. Oh, and then I went and had it serviced when it got funny. I went and had it serviced by somebody who like completely fucked it up. And then it sat in a drawer with the date stuck between, 2 days and the time frozen. And it sat in a drawer for, I don't know, maybe literally 15 years until I sent it to, and it was scratched and complete mess. And I sent it off to Kenny and it came back restored and shit spanking new. So fuck the warranty. You know why they warranty these things for 5 years? Because they don't break. Okay? If you buy a Rolex, it's not going to break. And if you buy a second-hand Rolex that has been through a chain of distribution that the factory can't control and doesn't know anything about, then why should they stand behind it? They're not going to. But who cares? I think the only people screaming about the Rolex warranty are people who've never owned Rolex, or don't own Rolex currently anyway, and therefore they're freaking out that the watch that they can't afford, or that they don't own, or that they diss, or that they slag, or that they don't like. I mean, I'm not saying Matt Stevens can't afford a Rolex. That was not where I intended to go exactly. But generally speaking, the people who are freaking out are people who don't own a Rolex. Now, I know that Federico from Federico Owns Watches, he has a Rolex, but it's a funny thing. He's got a pre-ceramic Rolex, a nice watch. I have one of those too, but I gotta say, it's far from the most impressive Rolex. And for a guy who worked for Piaget and sales and retail and high-level watch stuff, like he's got like a crappy collection. Sorry, Federico, but you don't have much. I mean, if you were all that in sales, you should have received better watches than most of us have just as spiffs. And the and the discounts that you get for selling watches are incredible. Ollie Kent, member of MDWE, Modern Day Watch Enthusiasts, on Facebook, one of my fellow cannibals over there. That kid is like 19 years old, and he's got better watches than Federico does, and he just buys them from the AD where he works at the employee discount. So, go ahead, you people who don't own Rolex or own some crappy 20-year-old Rolex, and that's all you got, which, by the way, probably has never needed service in its entire life span. You quit worrying about that that warranty that you're never going to use, and just, acquire some watches that are decent and long lasting. Rolex is probably the single most robust brand out there. Now, I'm not saying it's the highest in hot horology. Oh, and quick wristwatch check. Quick wristwatch check. See if I can get this focused, and let me play with the light here a little. I don't know. Might be a little hard to. Yeah, it's going to be a little tough. But this is the. There's a little bit. This is the Rolex DSSD James Cameron edition. You're only going to see the blue fading to black in that dial in natural sunlight, or if I put a bright light right on it. But this watch, although, listen, actually, this is a perfect example. This watch is like 1 year old. I got it from a gray marketeer. So in theory, it should have 4 years left of the factory warranty on it. I have the warranty card. But apparently Rolex is not going to honor that because I'm not the original guy, and my name and address is not the one on the warranty card, which didn't used to matter. And according to recent reports, David Khalil in UK says, and he's a really reliable source, great channel, by the way, Watch Collectors UK, David Khalil, really super knowledgeable guy. But he broke this news as far as I know, and then the rest of us are picking up on it now. So all I can tell you is, let me tell you what, I'm not worried about it. This fucker is not going to need service for 10 years. Not 4, but 10 years. And even then, Kenny will be able to whip it up and put it into like new shape for a fraction of what Rolex would have done anyway, who by that point would have taken off my nice vintage hands, exchanged them for other ones, probably sold them on the secondary market. So you know what? Fuck Rolex. You don't need Rolex service. You don't need their warranty. And if you purchased on the gray market and you're freaking out, well, actually, you know what? You're not. The only people freaking out are the people who don't own one. Mark Goldberg, Mark's Vlogs Watches, telling you, stay calm and wear a Rolex.